Hello everyone again, this is Couple. Thank you for coming back to A Couple Books. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about my rating system in case it is confusing or not clear to everyone, which is totally understandable since I'm maybe not so clear to myself sometimes. So if that's the case, then you guys are probably also very confused. I wanted to explain to you that on this channel, whenever I talk about rating a book, I will be using the star system, 1 through 5 stars. What does this mean? How do I identify a 1-star versus a 5-star book? That is an excellent, amazing question, and I thank you so much for asking that question. Well, to start off, I'm going to work my way from a 5-star to a 1-star example. First of all, I've got a few 5-star examples with me, hiding behind me. You can't see them, but they're there, I promise you. There's a few examples I have for you. One would be The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Mistborn trilogy. As I've discussed before in this channel, this is one of my favorite series of all time, and I would rank pretty much every single book within this series a 5-star. My reasoning is that it had an amazing story, it had amazing characters, and I was invested in the characters and the story from the first page on. I couldn't put it down, and then when I put it down, I spent days and hours and weeks and months thinking about it. Even today, it's been 5 or 6 years since I read the series, I'm still thinking about it, and I still bring it up, and I reread it, like probably once every 6 months. That, for me, is a 5-star book. Something that's always going to be around, something I love, and something that's always going to be coming back to me, and it's going to influence my future thoughts and processes and opinions about future books. That's a 5-star book. They don't come very often, but when they come, they're very big, and they will stay with me for a very long time. Okay? That's a 5-star book. Moving down the list to a 4-star book. A 4-star book is, for me, a book that is very good at dragging me into the story and making me invested in it and wanting me to turn the next page to figure out what's happening. Where the 4-star usually falls short of a 5-star book is that maybe it just didn't stick the landing amazingly well. Like maybe it was a very solid, great, beautiful ending, but I wasn't like, oh my god, wow. An example of a 4-star read for me is Ink and Sigil by Kevin Hearne. Kevin Hearne is known for his Iron Druid Chronicles, which I will cover later on this channel, but this is his new series, and this is the first book in it. I loved it. It was amazing. The character was interesting. The writing style was amazing because the author wrote with an accent, which you can see in the book. For example, instead of saying could and not, he said couldn't they. Absolutely fantastic. A really fun read. I was invested in it. I read it all in like 2 sittings. It was a great book. Really was one of my favorite books I've read this year so far. But it had some shortfalls. There was a lack of character development, I felt, on some of the side characters, and the humor was absolutely amazing, and I was laughing throughout the book, but there were 1 or 2 jokes that just didn't stick the landing. So, as you can see, a 4-star book is still an amazing book, and I would recommend it to everybody that's watching this video, and anybody that I talk to about books. I would recommend a 4-star book all the time. It's just not going to be the books that I'm going to get special editions for and put on my shelves and literally reread every 6 months. Will I reread a 4-star book? Most certainly. Next, a 3-star book. So, a 3-star book, for me, is a book that has all the components of a great story, has unique characters, but maybe it just wasn't such a strong start, or maybe not a strong finish. The story, I felt, could have gone a different direction, or the authors opened up a lot of doors, can lead to great potential, but they don't necessarily follow through within that book. An example would be the first book in the Dresden Files. I love this series. I've told you guys on my channel before, this is my favorite urban fantasy series out there to date, and it is literally my pride and joy some days, and I love it. And the books that he's published over the years have been just beyond fantastic, like wow. And I love the series, but the first book, I loved the main character. I loved the story, was very interesting. I was willing to pick up the second book, but I didn't feel like some of the characters were developed as much as they needed to be. I didn't feel like he gave me a really satisfying, clear ending, and it really felt like he kind of left me with a cliffhanger, but not just a cliffhanger with a satisfying conclusion. It was just a cliffhanger. And that's why I was willing to pick up the second book, because he did leave a very enticing cliffhanger. But it didn't stick the landing for that particular novel's conclusion. And that's where it became a 3-star. I loved it. I would also still recommend a 3-star book, but it wasn't like the best thing I've read in the last year or two. But later books in this series are most certainly 5-star reads. Just because the first book in the series is a 3-star doesn't mean necessarily anything about books later down the road. Alright, next is a 2-star book. A 2-star book is now a book I wouldn't necessarily recommend to people. Now, if you fit into a niche readership that would enjoy this book, I will still recommend it, but it's not something I'm going to say, pick up a book, get a copy, read it. You know, a 3-star, maybe 4-star, and 5 stars for sure would recommend. 2 stars, not going to recommend. I might have enjoyed the story, and it was at least interesting enough for me to finish the book. An example would be J Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses. This book kind of dives into the YA Fae fandom that's happening right now. We had Dystopian with the Hunger Games and Veronica Roth's series, and now here we are with the Fae subgenre of YA fantasy. This book was painful. It was good. No, it wasn't. That was a lie. Sorry. I didn't enjoy it pretty much at all. I read it. The story was interesting enough that I wanted to finish it and see how it ended. Did I have any interest in picking up the second book? Definitely not. Will I ever pick up the second book? Most certainly not. And I would probably not give this to someone to read as a recommendation. Now, if someone came to me and said, wow, I really love YA Fae Fantasy and I need a new author, I would probably give it to them. Why? Because it is that. It just doesn't fit my particular taste, and I didn't think the writing was that great, and I really didn't enjoy the character development, especially learning about plot points in the later books. I am more confident in my decision that this is just not a great book, and it is a 2-star book. So that is my opinion. You can now roast me in the comment section down below. Now, a 1-star book. I don't have a 1-star book with me right now. Either here or here, you're going to see the cover of The Paper Magician by Charlie N. Holmberg. This is a 1-star read. What does a 1-star read mean? It means I DNF'd it. I did not finish the book. Character work was lacking. The story was lacking. There's just really nothing in this book that is redeeming to it. Every now and again I will finish a 1-star book just because I feel like there is hope. This did not happen with this particular book, and it does not usually happen with my 1-star reads. My 1-star reads are usually books that I can't even get past the first arc, and those are the books that I find are lacking in a variety of categories, whether it be character development, storyline, plot, characters themselves, all those kinds of things. And those are the parts where I just kind of am like, I don't care enough about this book to even give it a chance. And those are my 1-star reads. 1 through 5, that is my book rating system. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe for future videos while I put these rating systems I'm telling you about to the test. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining me at A Couple Books today. I am Couple. Bye.